News Weekly. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 193 in year 4. And man, oh man, is the DCU dead before it even starts? Because it's supposed to start with The Flash, and the rumors are that shit ain't gonna make money. So, pretty crazy stuff.
It's wild, man. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Because I shared it in the Discord saying that, oh, this movie is gonna make gangbusters. It's gonna be close to like 140 opening. It's gonna be one of the biggest openers of this year, you know, on par with Mario and all of this stuff. And then like I feel like almost the very next day, or at least a couple days later, they're like, oh, actually, it's gonna be closer to 70 million. And like for me, I think less than 100 million, it's in trouble.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I mean, are these coming from reputable sources? Like, I obviously don't look into any of this. But the thing is, man, I have friends that are not superhero fans that think the Flash looks awesome.
Yeah, and I think the general audience is getting the word out there, or at least is receiving the word that like, hey, this is going to be a good movie. So the Hollywood Reporter is projecting with the pre-sale ticket orders that it's going to be 70 million.
Jeez.
Now, updated this morning, there was Box Office Pro, which is a semi-reputable source. This is, of course, looking at long-term things and whatnot, but they look at, and it's still a very wide range, so it still could be but it has the projections to open with 85 million to 135 million. That is a large gap.
Yeah.
That's like almost 60 million in a gap range.
Yeah. They were wrong about Guardians, though, right?
I think they were.
Because Guardians was like, oh, it's going to open at like 100 and something. And it opened up like at like 150, 160, something like that. I could be wrong on these numbers. By the way, we're not verifying them right now. But I want to say that they said Guardians looked like it was going to flop. And it's done, like, it's like over 500 million already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't know. I saw that and I'm like, no way. Those are Shazam numbers. And like, it's crazy because this movie has been getting a lot of hype. Like a lot of hype.
It has, and so much hype that there was a screening 2 days ago. For those of you who don't know, I have heard things. I am keeping my mouth shut. I am keeping a like, what's the phrase? Keeping everything to a grain of salt. From what I am hearing, but the screening that everybody watched on Thursday night was unfinished. It was the exact same cut that everybody saw at CinemaCon. So they are missing 10 minutes of the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. Casey Walsh did confirm yesterday that the release of the film will feature an unseen ending and post-credit scenes. So the movie itself that people saw on Thursday, it just ended. And from what I heard, it had a really weird cliffhanger ending that people felt like there could have been more. And this totally makes sense now. Like, hey, this will have an actual ending and post credits.
Well, that's good, because I've always thought, like, I don't like the idea of giving away a movie for free. Because it's like, well, if we're gonna show, like, let's just say 300 people, I don't know how big this theater is. 300 people, I feel like, is a standard theater, like for the big opening. You know, that's what, fucking a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even if it's a matinee price. So, like, I don't like the idea of losing that money. So, I would definitely not show everything. So, I think that's good.
And I think it's amazing because it's not like they did it like, oh, LA only or like whatever. They did it in several different states, and they showed an uncut version. And then they're like, oh, you'll have to come back to watch the rest. And so people are going to spend their money, watch the entire movie again just to see that additional 10 minutes. And I have seen and heard people talk about how like they need that extra 10 minutes.
Interesting.
And not in the sense of like I need it for it to make sense, but like, hey, this movie is so good, I want to see that extra 10 minutes, you know?
Okay. I don't want to keep talking about it because I don't want to. I have no expectations for this film. Like,
Yeah.
at the moment.
And
So
that's why I want to keep this very brief, but I also want to.
We're not talking about the new trailer either, by the way, in case anybody's curious.
That was a big thing. I watched the trailer, and then somebody said online, like, hey, if you want to know the entire movie, just watch that trailer. I was like, well, I wish I knew that beforehand.
Yeah, this is why I don't watch trailers anymore.
But I still think there's still going to be plenty of things for me to be surprised at. But talking about projections, Box Office Pro also projected the long-term finishing numbers for domestic, at least. And it says it is set for $208 to $362 million domestically.
Is this getting a China release?
I believe so. Let me double check on that though.
Because I believe I'm curious if it'll get like carried by China or not. So
and the really big thing that people need to understand also, it says The Flash will be releasing in China. I will say though, China has not been a very big difference in numbers lately for the box office.
I thought they were carrying Fast and the Furious, weren't they?
Well, and that's the very odd thing. They haven't been hitting with superhero movies as much anymore. But for some reason, like some random movies will just pop off in China.
Well, Fast and the Furious has always been popular in China, so I think
Fast
like
and Furious over all 10 movies recently has hit the milestone of $7 billion. So
yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. That movie was not as good as the last two. I'll say that. We saw it recently. It's not as good as the last two. Also, lackluster moments in that movie for certain areas. That's what happens when you get rid of Justin Lin. Vin Diesel must have pissed off Justin Lin for some reason, because Justin Lin has been doing the last few movies, if I'm not mistaken, and he's badass. And this new director, it just felt different. I don't know why, but that movie just felt different. And I was just like, Also, I told Clay this immediately after the movie. That movie has too much fucking ADR. Too much fucking ADR.
Well, like, was this movie or 9 was a COVID movie? Which one?
I would assume this one was probably more of a COVID movie than the last one.
Yeah, if that was the case, like I could totally see it. Like just because of there being so much ADR, like just you seeing things happen and then just hearing the voiceover, like it was.
The problem was they didn't even try to mask the audio to fit into the scene. They just threw it over the scene. And I'm like, dude, if he's facing away from a person, you should hear his voice a little bit softer. If there's a fucking action scene going on, I shouldn't be able to hear his audio super clearly. It should be muffled. There should be some, like, he should be in distress. Like, I don't know, man. That was pissing me off. And I've started noticing it. I'm watching, like, Fear the Walking Dead right now. Fucking great show, by the way, from what I've seen so far. They have done things in that show, like, I'm just like, what? Like, starting off. And so I think Fear is pretty awesome. But, like, I've noticed some ADR in that shit, too. I'm like, what? Y'all fucking... I'm a YouTuber over here, and I know how to do audio better than this shit. So, like, I don't know. It's fucking annoying when I've noticed that. But I noticed it a lot in Fear. I mean, not in Fear, in fucking Fast and Furious. But anyways, so, yeah, possible bad projections for The Flash. I mean, we'll be seeing it on the 12th, so we'll let you guys know what we think about it. So, again, I'm not trying to... I've been avoiding everything like the plague. I've been banning everything on Twitter that's associated with the Flash. I even banned the fucking Flash show because, like, I'm hoping to do it this weekend. I want to watch the finale in Discord. For anybody that's listening to this on the podcast, come join the Discord if you want to join that. Not guaranteed to happen this weekend because I got a lot of shit going on, but we'll see. But yeah, I was seeing shit for that. Like, I saw part of the finale already. I'm like, man, what the fuck? I was like, I don't want to know that.
Yeah,
which is kind of typical. I kind of
it's kind of all over TikTok and Twitter. But speaking of the screening that we're going to go to on the Monday before the release, I'm really glad that we get to see it Monday because England got it a day in advance. So
Mhm.
instead of releasing Thursday like we usually get it,
Yeah.
it's releasing Wednesday. So there would have been a whole bunch of even more
Yeah.
leaks and stuff shown online. So we're seeing it at the fan screening
Mhm.
on the 12th in IMAX, which I'm so glad because I think that movie is going to be amazing in IMAX. But tickets are officially on sale for any other day after the 16th.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why they give England a day first. Like, the bitch was made in America. Oh, it was actually it was made in London, actually. So I take
Yeah.
that back.
Yeah.
Still American company. Fuck y'all, London. Like,
I
day
mean,
early.
but like, this was done with the first Shazam movie. It was done with the first Aquaman movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been done with a lot of the
It was done
DC
with the
films,
Batman too.
actually.
It's actually pretty common, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't affect me that much anymore because I'm not on social media like the days before, or I don't follow superhero shit anymore,
Yeah.
like on Twitter. So it doesn't affect me as much. But I will say, like, I still try to avoid spoilers at all costs. You know what I mean? Just because I don't know, I've gotten, since quitting the review stuff, I just want to experience stuff again. You know, I watch a lot of anime YouTubers, and they don't even give a shit about anime anymore. They're like, I'm just so burnt out. Like, I like reviewed it too much. And I'm like, you know what? That's kind of how it is. Like, I go back and I went, since I know the Flash was ending yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever it ended, I went and checked a lot of the YouTubers that were kind of doing shit while I was doing shit. And I'm like, because some of them were Flash only channels. I'm like, what are y'all going to do now? What are you doing?
Wow.
Like, so one of the big ones was a guy named Pagey. And
Yeah.
Pagey covered everything the Flash. And I think he's starting to do Lois and whatchamacallit now, but that
Oh,
might be
Superman and
ending
Lois.
too.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, what do you do now, Pagey? Where do you go from here? There's no more like, and this is the problem. And this is why I got out when I did. And a lot of people were like, oh, you fucking fell off, all that kind of shit. It has a ceiling, man. Superhero shows are gonna end. They're not gonna continue. And if you have a hardcore fan base like I did for Gotham, once the show ends, they don't give a fuck anymore. They don't care about these other shows. And so I'm going to be curious now that the CW is essentially dead and HBO Max is like, we're not really going to be giving you shows anymore.
Well, you saying that this isn't on our list of things to talk about because it's not Batman related, but it has been said that because a lot of the scripted shows at CW, not just the DC shows, a lot of the scripted shows have been canceled.
Yeah.
There, I think only one or two have survived. And currently it looks like WB is in negotiations with the current owners of the CW to make Superman and Lois a Max show.
Yeah.
So that way they can keep going. Because that show has been very popular. It has brought in views for the CW, and the WB for the longest time technically would have made a profit if CW was profitable by those views. But so in that case, they are considering Superman and Lois to be a show to move to Max. But I haven't heard anything about Gotham Knights, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, that doesn't need to continue. But yeah, I just don't it was interesting to go back and see like the growth on those channels and stuff like that. And I still, you know, like I said, I'm currently working on the new channel. I think I've made the better decision. I'm a lot happier with not covering that kind of shit. But yeah, we'll probably be doing a some kind of screening at some point of the final episode of The Flash in the Discord. So definitely go subscribe to that, or join that, I should say. But moving on from Flash talk, let's go ahead and move on to gunfight. Well, actually, if we're talking about the CW, what is this Arrowverse has ended? What is your favorite part? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring this up because you just mentioned the fact that your fan base blew up when you were covering, of course, Gotham, and then of course it really blew up with the Flash, with I believe season 2 finale was the one that really blew it up.
I pissed a lot of people off with that. I was right for the longest time until my theory is they saw my video and they fucking corrected that shit like 3 seasons later, because I had people like, it makes sense now. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense now. They fucking saw my video and they fucking corrected it. I called out a lot of shit that happened on that show and it ended up changing. I'm just saying.
So I know that you watched The Flash. I don't know if you heavily started watching anything else, but
Mhm.
like through the years, I believe that the Arrowverse really did bring a lot to the table as far as like, hey, this is how we're going to be portraying comic book entities on screen.
Yeah.
So do you have like a favorite moment of the Arrowverse at all?
A favorite moment. I do think I think it was season 5 of Arrow when he was fighting Prometheus was really exciting and fun. Um, I do I have a favorite moment? I don't know. I was really liking Legends for a bit because it had a Doctor Who vibe to it, which I
Yeah.
thought was kind of cool. I did love the line of Rip Hunter saying that like he's seen gods fall and like knights, whatever. I forget what the
Yeah.
actual line is. That was really cool. I, some of the biggest moments were when they referenced characters I knew I was never gonna see.
Yeah.
You know what I
I think
mean?
the line was, I've seen Men of Steel and Knights Fall.
Yeah,
Which I like, people were like, oh shit. I think it
yeah,
was in one of the trailers, and then he eventually said it on the show.
yeah.
But yeah, Legends had so much potential, and then they leaned really hard into the goofiness and just
Yeah,
fell off.
that's what killed it for me. When they did that Debo shit or whatever, Bobo, whatever the fuck that
Debo, yeah.
yeah. When they all got their minds together to make a big one, I was like, fuck this show. I don't want to watch it anymore. A show can kill its interest. Like, that's the fastest way to kill my interest in a show is when you go too wacky.
Yeah.
And it's funny saying that as my favorite show is Doctor Who, but Doctor Who has the perfect balance. I've always said that.
Yeah, like because a lot of people for the longest time were like, oh, Legends knew what it was, they leaned
Mhm.
into it and all of this stuff. And it really sucked because you had somebody like oh shit, what was his name? Arthur,
I don't
the guy
remember.
from Doctor Who, the
Mhm.
one who
Oh,
played
Arthur Carvel.
Carvel. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you had the biggest reference point there. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what can we do to make this, feel like how you were in
Darvel, I
Doctor Who?
think is his name
Darvel,
actually. Yeah.
yeah. Dude, yeah. I think one of my favorite moments was when it was the crossover where the Legends were first introduced,
Mhm.
and freaking everybody died, and Barry had to go back in time.
Oh,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
that that
I'm
was
pretty
pretty
sure there's some
wacky.
amazing moments. Like when he first fought, what was his name? Wasn't the Black Flash character? It wasn't. He wasn't named Black Flash though, right?
No, it was
It wasn't Reverse. Dark Flash? No.
oh shoot.
See, I already forget. His suit was
Zoom.
awesome.
Zoom.
Zoom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Zoom was cool. The
Yeah.
first 2 seasons of Flash were awesome. The first 2
Yes.
seasons were good. The finale was fucking garbage because it didn't make sense. And then it makes sense fucking 5 seasons later or whatever. I started hating the Flash with Savitar. I thought Savitar was so fucking trash, and I already knew it was gonna be Barry, and I was just like, fuck this shit. Like, this was so fucking lame. So that's and then the season that followed that was atrocious with the dude in the fucking
In the
mind
chair, the
framester.
thinker.
Yeah, the thinker. Yeah. And then like I was like, this is fucking bad. And then they fucking brought in Homeboy from Not Another Teen Summer or whatever the fuck that movie was called. Fucking Pretty Boy. What's his name? Fucking he was in the hardcore classic slasher movie with Jennifer Love Hewitt, I think he was. Or was he in American Pie? He was in American Pie. The guy that played Cicada.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
his that
Yeah.
fucking guy. He's in a slasher movie, like a
Oh
popular
yes,
slasher
yes,
movie,
yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He came out and that season was just super trash. I think those might have been the same season. They were just split.
It
Both of
had
them.
moments, but yeah, it was
I stopped
pretty
watching
bad.
it. And they also had the fucking annoying child in it. I
Nora.
hated that bitch. Yeah. Oh my god, I hated that bitch. She was so bad. I
I always laugh at that actor
Mhm.
because she looks like she's 14, but
Yeah.
she's I think hitting 50 pretty soon.
Yeah, it's great. She looks great for her age. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, her character sucked. I cannot stand characters to just ruin shit. I want them to die so bad.
Yeah.
Fear the Walking Dead had a character like that. The death, so amazing. I'm so glad they died. But I mean, I think that's done purposely, right? Because everybody
Yeah.
wants to see that death. Same thing happens in Game of Thrones. like everybody's like, oh yes, when fucking, you know, spoilers, it's been out forever, but when Joffrey dies, right? Like everybody loved when Joffrey died. It was fucking a huge moment. So yeah, but I just can't stand those kind of characters. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure you know, she ended up crashing and burning, but seeing Batwoman for the first time was pretty hype.
Yeah.
So
and pretty comic book accurate costume too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and the CW did fairly well with costumes.
Yeah.
And then some of them were kind of like,
It looked like they stopped trying after a few, because I saw one of the last Reverse Flash suits this past season. It looked awful. They also gave up on the CGI on a lot of those movies.
Well, I will say this. What's his name who played Reverse Flash since the very beginning? He has just done a great job. I was looking back at some of the very first seasons where like he was really like kind of messing with Cisco and like all of that stuff, and just the dynamic that they had in Star Labs in the very first 2 seasons. Oh, it was so good. Like,
yeah, it was really good. Actually, you know what? A lot of people don't talk about this show because they think it was a fucking leftist, communist, socialist, fucking propaganda show. Supergirl. Supergirl had a lot of amazing moments where I think they actually covered real world shit and built it into superhero shit. And I thought it was amazing. I don't think Supergirl gets enough praise.
One of my favorite moments in Supergirl was there was an episode where she lost her powers. And she had to basically bluff everybody. And like there was like a city riot and like there was a gun to her and she like still like jumped in front of somebody. They didn't shoot, but they you know, she bluffed and she won, and I thought that was awesome.
I thought that was a good moment when they were dealing with, I think it was Sawyer. Maggie Sawyer was in the show. I think she was played by a Latina. And her parents hated her because she was a lesbian. Like, I thought that was a really powerful episode. And I was like, holy shit. I thought that was really cool. And yeah, granted, this show did devolve into some really shitty moments. The consent moment is probably going to go down as one of the worst moments in superhero history, in my opinion. But like, for the most part, taking away from the cringy CGI that was also on that show at times, it had epic moments. Like the first time they showed Martian Manhunter, I was like, oh, fuck. Like that was awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think Supergirl got enough praise. I think that show was actually really good. And I want to say like something, I think that show just like, it was on CBS. So the first season was kind of cringe at points because they did really try to make it like, I am woman, I don't need no man. And I'm like, dude, she doesn't need, just show her be a badass and you'll win people over. But so
there was a lot of moments that a lot of people were angry about because there was moments where like when they finally introduced like Tyler Hoechlin as Superman, when they were both on screen, they made it very obvious, like, hey, the woman is more powerful because she is in Supergirl and all of this. And people didn't like it. And there was only one moment that I didn't like when they did it. But there was also like in-story reasons why it happened or whatever. So it's just like,
Yeah. So I don't know. A lot of moments that were bad, but I'm sure there was a lot of great moments too. I mean, if there wasn't, I wouldn't have covered the show. Like, so it's just, I've kind of like put that between I put it in a cubby, locked it away. I don't really need to remember those shows anymore. Because I know Gotham had good moments too that I enjoyed. It's just, I don't want to, I'm done with that part, it's just kind of over it.
And then you see Stephen Amell on the big screen in Gunn's DCU.
Oh,
right?
Dude, I would hate that so much. He's not a good actor. I'm sorry. He's just not. Like, he's on the level. I mean, I would say he's probably even below the level of like Keanu Reeves.
I would honestly say that he is just a TV actor. I've heard good things about his wrestling show on Showtime. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, he has CM Punk in that, but I fucking hate CM Punk. Like, I think that guy is a complete asshole. Also, shit comic book writer. Because they gave him some comic books to write, and they were fucking garbage from what I remember. But it is what it is. He has a lot of clout, so people will just love him for what he is. Random thing here, but we just got Raphael posted this in the Discord chat. Manga comic channel. Dawn of DC grows with the Batman / Catwoman, the Gotham War event. The Gotham War. What I fucking hate. Everything's got to be a fucking war in DC. Like, I don't understand it. A conflict that's been brewing for well over a year finally hits the streets, and it will fracture the Bat family as war erupts in Batman / Catwoman, the Gotham War. Why? How has this been brewing for a year? She was in jail, and he was fucking across the other world. Like,
I don't know.
It's... I don't... here's the thing, man. It's crazy that both Catwoman and Batman somehow managed to find worse writers than the previous ones. Now, granted, Ram V was amazing. So it's not hard to think that they found somebody worse. But it's like they were like, we just found somebody amazing. Let's try to get somebody worse, like really bad, to make him look even better. But at the same time, we didn't like Tynan at all. And then fucking they gave us Zdarsky. Well, granted, there was Williamson as a buffer, but he was all like, I'm going to give y'all guys hope and then take it away. And then we got Zdarsky. And I just don't understand it. And here's the thing that I hate. Where did I see it? This quote right here. I don't want to spoil anything, but with Selina's recent breakout from jail and Bruce's struggle with Zur and Ra, things are going to get intense in Gotham, added Zdarsky. Like, is Zur and Ra gonna go after Catwoman because she broke out of jail? Like,
probably
is that gonna be the thing? I don't know, man. I just can't. I can't stand it. This is not gonna be a happy summertime when it comes to reading Batman stuff, and we'll probably have to read Catwoman, which kind of fucking sucks. So, and Catwoman has not been great. Some of these art pages that I'm looking at are pretty cool. But it's just, I don't know. Also, Red Hood's coming back. Okay.
As a title?
No, Red Hood's just coming back as in like a part of the family because he's been gone, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, is he going to... This one cover that we're watching obviously has a terrible draw on Catwoman, in my opinion. Look at her face. It has Red Hood with Catwoman. And like, dude, give him his old suit back. Why are we still with this wannabe ninja Red Hood? Like, this Red Hood sucks.
I thought they changed it back.
This cover has Catwoman with the old Red Hood Sub-Zero version. So, I don't know. Dawn of DC needs to dawn some new writers because this shit is bad. Anyways, going on from comic book news, Arrowverse. Quick tidbit here with these two things. There's not really much to talk about with these two things, but Joker 2 has officially wrapped with a nice little photo from what was his face? Todd Phillips with Lady Gaga. Nice little candid moment it seems like they had, which was kind of nice. I could have sworn that this wrapped a long time ago, but I guess it's officially.
Yeah, I think the filming had wrapped. Now the production has wrapped. So I think that like they have it in the bag already, which I mean is super quick. I think if anything, they still may need to have like maybe one or two different little touch-ups here and there. Yeah. Because god damn, that movie's not going to release until 2025 and they're already finished with it? Like Jesus.
Is it 2025 or that was 2024?
I thought it was 2025.
Pretty sure it's 2024. Pretty sure it's next year. Because they're separating, I think.
It is. Okay, so if it's next year, then that does make sense. It does make sense that it's so.
And the Penguin is delayed because of the writer's strike. And our boy Colin Farrell, I mean, he's not our boy, but he's part of the Penguin, is actually on the picket line. So
there has been several photos of several cast members on the picket line. Clancy Brown, a lot of different actors, and of course the writers and other pieces of production have been on the picket lines. There has been several videos of Farrell like giving some really good inspirational stuff like on why people should be paying these writers.
Yeah.
And you know, it really shows that all of these studio heads are on the wrong side of history here.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't help when you have Zaslav making like $200 million a year.
Yeah.
You know,
and
like
he's making cuts. Like it was announced this week that he's making more cuts. I'm just like, you fucker.
Yeah, it sucks that, you know, what really sucks is there's a lot of, if you really want to do the deep dive, and I don't recommend people do this, if you ever wanted to dive into the people that own your favorite shit, they are some of the worst people. So like it really blows. That's why I think when people do like the don't play Harry Potter, you know, because J.K. Rowling shit happens, I'm like, that's so idiotic. Like you have to, there's other things in your life that you love that are run by terrible people, and you're not boycotting those. I think boycotts for that kind of stuff is kind of stupid. Granted, I do think everybody has the right to boycott what they want to boycott, but I do think certain things, I think the moral of Olympics of who we should not follow or support and whatever is kind of weird sometimes when it's over, you know, products. I think it's really weird. Granted, I do think speaking up about shit is important. So it doesn't matter. But anyways, so moving on from those two things, we do have Gunn fights against rumors, lies, and scoopers. Now, this came out, I think, a few days ago, not necessarily the day after we recorded the last podcast. Yeah. But yeah, this is a huge thing that I'm kind of on board with, although I do love Gunn shutting people down. I don't think this is going to really change anything, because I obviously have mentioned it many times on this podcast, detaste scoopers now. I'm not a fan of them anymore, even though I was a part of that whole world for a bit. But yeah, I'm kind of glad Gunn is not going to give them the time of day anymore, because he even said it in if you want to pull up the actual quote, but he was talking about how he knows every time he does this, it's fueling the fire.
Yes, it definitely puts gasoline to the fire. Now he says here, I'm getting barraged with bullshit DC rumors this morning. I'll just reiterate the general rule not to believe anything unless it comes from me or Peter. That being, of course, Peter Safran. But unless it's especially egregious or egregious, I don't even know what that word is. Egregious, sorry. I'm going to slow down on calling shit out. And he puts in parentheses, sorry, I know it's one of my favorite traditions. There are 3 reasons for this. Reason 1, some people are making up lies to get attention from me or to get clicks, and I don't want to encourage that. I think that is awesome. I think that he understands the game. Clickbait is what it is, and he's not going to take the bait. 2, I've heard 100 rumors this morning. One of them is half true. Yeah. So I don't want to be used as a way for people to throw nonsense at the wall until something sticks. And 3, I'm storyboarding Superman Legacy and don't have time. Have a great day. And then he did the little merman emoji again. And so this, I think, is great. And I think it's absolutely hilarious. Moments after this happened, we had the Ponderer put in the Discord, oh, rumors that Mr. Terrific is in Superman Legacy. And you were like, dude, just look at the chat before you post something.
Yeah. I just put false, or I don't know what I put exactly, but yeah, I shut that shit down real quick.
And I think this is great. Yes, I think I had said this was always going to happen. As much as we love him calling shit out, it would be impossible for him to keep up with everything. Yeah. The man is very, very busy. He is not only directing and writing Superman Legacy, he is the co-CEO of the entire DC studios. Like, yeah, he has so much on his shoulders. And I said in the Discord that I don't think this is the end of it. I think that he will eventually get his schedule in order. You know, he won't be directing every movie when it comes to the DCU. And so I think eventually we could see him come back to it, but only just a little bit. I don't expect it to be as much as it was before he started to really ramp up his production on Superman Legacy.
Yeah, I do think he does need to dial back for sure. Because yeah, he's got a lot on his plate. This is a catch-22 for me because, like, or I should say, double-edged sword. Because I've always said that when it comes to like comic book writing, I think we need more personalities in the comic book world. Granted, like, because I don't know. I mean, I think the closest to a personality that we probably had in the last like decade or two is maybe like a Scott Snyder, which I don't even think he's done that much. I think Greg Capullo is more of a personality than he is. I know everybody was kind of all over the, you know, the golden boy of Marvel for a while. I forget his name, Donny Cates or whatever.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem to be doing well mentally, from what it seems like. So I don't know. I just think like, and then Tom King, everybody just thinks he's a CIA fucking spy. So like, they're just like, oh yeah, you know, and I think Tom King does pretty well with social media, but it's unfortunate that he's one of these writers people think like, oh, you know, you like him or you don't like him. But I think there needs to be more personalities. And the thing that sucks is I wish I liked Chip's Batman run because Chip is a personality. Like, as much as I don't like what he's doing in Batman, the dude's got a wacky personality, and I think he could do more. I just don't think he has, like, I don't think he's current on, like, the way media and everything works now. I think he's just kind of doing his own thing, which is cool. I mean, he already has success. He can do whatever he wants. But I think being dialed in with what is really popular right now and the way to use social medias specifically, I think he could be a lot better, especially with his personality. But at the same time, that shit takes time, right? This is why I also think that we really need to get away from the like, ongoing crazy runs and move to 6-issue arcs. Like we do that because it'll give you time to build up these things in between, you know? But I mean, to be honest, manga does the same shit, right? Manga does weekly stuff, which is even more insane. So, I don't know. Pretty crazy shit. But I do think that we need to, I don't know. Comic books need some kind of personalities in them, in my opinion. And I think James Gunn is a big personality when it comes to this kind of stuff for movies. But at the same time, now he's a CEO kind of person. So he's probably like, I got to cut this back. And he's just hella busy, man. But I just don't like how crazy the scoopers have been getting. And it's just like anything, right? Like we finally had somebody that was willing to give us transparency and everybody gets greedy, right? Everybody has to ask a bajillion questions. I'm like, oh yeah, do this. Oh, hey, I said this. And like, nobody knows how to just accept a good thing. And there's always gonna be somebody that ruins it, right? There's always somebody that takes 2 apples out of the bunch instead of 1. So, So, I mean, that moment is over. Fuck scoopers for doing that. Actually, it was a lot of fans too, but you know, scoopers are the ones that run with everything. I mean, you have so many Twitter accounts like Home of DC that regurgitates anything that Gunn says. Oh, Gunn fucking farted on the toilet and it sounded like the Blob. He's gonna be in DC, you know, like it's just like holy shit. So yeah, fuck that. But also I think there was a little bit of possible shade at the MCU by Gunn.
Yeah, a little bit. Now I like how I posted this article and Juice was like, you know what? I'm not going to read this because it's in a completely different language.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, you just have to take the quote. The quote is not in a different language. He's like, why don't you just tell us what it is?
Yeah.
And basically,
I like to read articles, though. That's why. Because we have seen how Daniel RPK, Big Scooper, has he did the thing with fucking what's his face, Dave Bautista, from a different language and translated it wrong, and it was the wrong quote. So I don't like reading headlines anymore. Also, but the thing is, the reason why I said that is because I don't know how you read a lot of your stuff. I read a lot of my stuff on my PC nowadays because I have Discord open. So when something pops up, I'll check it out. But the new thing nowadays is if you have any type of ad blocker, every website now has that stupid thing that pops up and it's like, hey, we need to make money off of ads and yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
And I'm just like, bro, because like some of those ads are so intrusive. And so it's like, I need to have an ad blocker. And that website was in a different language and had an ad block thing. And I'm like, bro, I can't even find where I need to switch off because it's in a different language. I was like, holy shit. So that's all I was like, you gotta summarize this for me, man.
But basically what it confirmed is that Gunn is talking to a lot of great writers and a lot of great directors when looking at the rest of the DCU. And that's the thing when it comes to Marvel and the MCU, is that a lot of people say, hey, the MCU put a lot of these directors on the map. I think that is true for the Russo brothers. Unfortunately, a lot of their stuff that isn't Marvel is not really hitting with a whole lot of people. But at the same time, like, I think you can do both. I think that really good directors and writers can join a franchise and then make it boom. And I think that's what Gunn is wanting to do.
Let's read the quote. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but because I feel like we're getting away from the point we started with. So the quote says, I'm hiring great directors and great writers. It's going to be interesting stuff, if nothing else. That's what I'd rather make. Stuff that's interesting and doesn't work than stuff that is just the same old thing that we've seen again and again.
Yes. And the reason I was bringing that up is for the fact that we had always said before Gunn was announced the CEO, before we even got an inkling of what the new DCU could be, or the new DCEU at that point could have been, was we needed somebody to bring in something that was very different to DC, which meant, okay, I want to see an actual Western in the DCU. I need to see an actual space odyssey in the DCU. I need to see an actual horror movie in the DCU. And Gunn, I think, is doing that. I think he's going to get very good directors and writers for the genres that they're perfect at and throw them into the DCU. And I think that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and he's going to be behind this, behind the scenes pulling the strings, right? He'd be like, you could do your horror shit, but this is Swamp Thing, and you need to include his origin. And this is how, he became Swamp Thing. And granted, I think the director they're getting for Swamp Thing loves Swamp Thing, so there's not going to be a problem there. But yeah, and I think I don't think this will be a problem either if the rumors are true that Muschietti will be getting Brave and the Bold, which I think I'm kind of on board for until I see The Flash. I'm on board right now because of the stuff he's done previously, but if The Flash is a banger, I've kind of already seen the aesthetic that he's done with Batman, and I think it's pretty cool. So I'd be down with him taking over Brave and the Bold. He's also great with ensemble casts, so I'd be down with that. What if he got Bill Hader to be Batman? If for anybody that doesn't know that, it's Barry from the show Barry. It's Seth Rogen's cop friend, or Seth Rogen's friend in a lot of the Seth Rogen movies.
Yeah.
But he's done Barry recently, which is an action comedy show. But I just think it would be funny to he's Batman.
He's 44 years old. We just said last week that they have no age for the Batman currently.
Yeah. That would be funny. I don't think it would be him, but I just think that'd be funny to have him because of he's got such a unique face that I think I'd be like, oh, that'd be interesting. And he's been in a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in one of his movies though.
The DCU. At all?
If Muschietti just keeps working in the DCU, because he was part of freaking whatchamacallit of It, and I think he really liked him there. And so we'll see. Muschietti hasn't made anything past It, but I think he said he liked working with Bill Hader. So, I could be just misquoting that, but yeah, I don't know. By the way, because one of my favorite interviews with Bill Hader is on Conan. I don't know if you ever watched Conan or not, but his new show is going to be on Max, and it looks pretty cool. I don't know if you saw the trailer for that. But it's him traveling to different parts of the world and just meeting with people and doing funny shit. So it's a traveling show kind of. It's called Conan O'Brien Must Go, which I think is a great title.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, that's coming out on Max. I don't know when, but it looks pretty cool. Curious if he'll be at Comic-Con, because he goes to Comic-Con every year, but he doesn't have a late night show anymore. So probably not, which blows. He used to give out exclusive Funko Pops every time, which was kind of cool. And they sold really well after because I sold some of them. But yeah, crazy stuff. But yeah, so I don't know. Shot at the MCU. Do you think so?
I think it is a little bit. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that it is like so much so that's like I fucking hate Feige and all of this other shit. I think it's more so like, hey, you remember how all these people are saying they have superhero fatigue?
Yeah.
You're not going to have that with my universe.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be different every single time.
Yeah. The first thing I thought was a shot at the MCU. That's the first thing I thought. Because that's the most common thing, right? I've been saying it since Endgame. Like, I was like, everything's the same. Everybody's fucking funny. And you know what? I'm pretty sure out of all the people that have met James Gunn since Guardians of the Galaxy 1 has came out, somebody, one person has had to have said, I don't like how the MCU got all funny after you made Guardians. Somebody has had to say that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's that one comment that stays with you. Out of everybody sucking your dick about how good your movies are, it's that comment that stings and sticks in your brain, you know? Because I think everybody has that one comment. My comment is when I was starting out YouTube, my friend's girlfriend, I don't talk to this guy anymore, but like his girlfriend at the time, and this isn't why I stopped talking to him, I stayed friends with him for a while, but like people grow apart. His girlfriend was like, I don't watch your content because you're monotone. And I was like, like, I never thought about that. Like, I just never thought about that. But I will say it made me change my content to be more engaging, more like energetic and shit like that. I was like, I can't change my voice. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know how to fucking change that. I could do the thing with the guy from Killing the Mockingbird that fucking went to the top of the mountain and blew out his voice to get his voice to change and be super deep. But that would be worse. It'd be more monotone. So like, yeah. So like I had to change things. So I'm wondering if somebody said that, he's just like, fuck. Like the MCU is the same. Everybody is funny. Like what the fuck? And maybe that's why Guardians 3 was very different than Guardians 2. Because Guardians 2 sucked. So yeah, I don't know. We're obviously just speculating, looking into shit, but I don't know. I always like to think about that. I think there are a comment here out there that people try to do that. But what sucks, and I know there's people out there listening to this, don't be the guy that tries to make that comment. You're super cringe if you're trying to be the person that makes that comment. Like, because you're just annoying. Like, because I read comments like that all the time, and I'm just like, okay, bro. Like, everybody thinks like, oh, you fell off. That doesn't change anything for me. I know I fell off. Like, you don't need to tell me. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff. But yeah, I think that is all the news we have so far. I don't think I missed anything. I think we've touched on everything. So moving on to viewer questions. First up, I'm Charlie, bro. From waste to management, how good do you think the Flash movie will be? That's a weird way to phrase it. Are we saying that people who deal with trash are at the bottom? Because I think without people that handle trash, we'd be living in garbage. So I think I've actually met some people that do trash shit. They have the best fucking stories. I will say that. The shit they find in the trash is wild. So if you've never had a conversation with somebody that does waste management, you should. It's fun. But I'm assuming like out of 1 to 10, like how good do you think this movie is going to be? Right now, I'm sitting at a 5. I want no expectations for this movie. I'm not going to say it's going to be a 10.
Here's the thing for me. Whenever it comes, like, a lot of people are on both ends of the spectrum when it comes to expectations or non-expectations to a movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are always like, hey, I'm going to give you a 10 to start off with, and then you're going down from there. Yeah. Some people are like, no, you got to start from the bottom. I'm giving you a 0, and you got to work my way up. For me, I stay at a 5 going into a movie. It's like, okay, because I saw a TikTok recently that was Ryan Reynolds. Like he was saying like, hey, all you people that are like during the trailers of movie theater saying like, oh, that looks good. Like, oh, that looks good. It's like, yeah, we're tired of that shit. The trailer is doing its job. We know that it looks good. Like that's what trailers are supposed to do. Quit saying it. I'm always okay. You're at a 5. For me, just because it is DC plus there, and the trailers have been good in my mind. I mean, just going off of the first trailer that we reacted to in the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
I think it's bumped it up to at least a 7.
Okay.
And I think it has to do downright dirty to fail in my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
because some people think a 7 is bad. A 7 is average.
Yeah.
7 is still good. I think it'll be okay. And so right now I'm
I
seeing
would say 7's better than good. I
Yeah.
think a 5 is average, but people don't understand. This is why we need better education in America, because people don't understand what average is. It's in the middle.
True. I mean, you're not wrong.
You know, it's in the middle. It's literally 5, maybe 6. That's it. It's not 7. 7 is good, I think.
Yeah.
But people are dumb. So what can you do? So,
I'm going to stick my foot or my line in the sand, saying that as of right now,
what's your excitement level? Say that.
My excitement level for this movie is
not what you expect of it.
Probably an 8.
Okay.
Right now.
I would say that too right now. Because like I'm not like fuck, like the way I was with Game of Thrones, like waiting for the next episode. I'm not like that. Like that's the most hype I've been in a really long time, is like when Game of Thrones was popping off. Like I mean, you saw I'd be at work being like, oh fuck, the new episode's coming out. Like holy shit. Like everybody, like fucking our boss was doing the same shit. Like when Game of Thrones came out at our job, nobody was doing their job. Like that's what was happening. Everybody was watching it on their fucking phone.
I remember the days where like Game of Thrones was gonna come out and we would all be in one room talking, and then one person would be like, oh, it's time, and then everybody would disperse.
Yeah. And like, all right, everybody went back to their areas and fucking started watching the show. Like it's just what happened. But yeah, like I would say I'm probably about an 8 as well. Like I want to see it already, but I'm not like I fucking need to see it now. You know, I'm like, oh, it's in 3 weeks or whatever. As for the Ryan Reynolds thing, Ryan Reynolds, we want to see you play not yourself in fucking movies. How about that? You know, because that's all you fucking do. All right.
Well, do you hear about Deadpool 3?
Mm-mm.
About how he is legally not able to improvise in Deadpool 3 due to the contracts the writers made for the script.
Really?
And due to the WGA, they can't rewrite anything. So he has to stick to the script.
So if it sucks, we blame the writers. That's kind of how I'm hearing that. So
yeah,
that would be interesting. And the thing that sucks is Ryan Reynolds can't really come. I mean, well, he's got that personality where he could talk shit and people still wouldn't hate him.
But like the thing is, people are saying that like the movie is such like a like golden apple type of movie that he will improvise and nobody will say shit. Like basically like, hey, we got you by the balls.
Yeah.
We're making this movie. Everybody wants this movie. Don't ruin it for the world type of thing.
I also think that he will improvise anyways, and then they'll just do the real take. And then they'll be like, which take is better? You know? I think that's just how you do it. I think that's how a lot of people do it anyways. There's always a script, but people will improvise. Granted, I hear James Gunn hates people that do that. Like, well, hate's probably a strong word, but he's like, yeah, I don't like improvisation because we wrote the script. Like, we want them to do what we do. I'm pretty sure he's mentioned that a few times, but I mean, everything that works seems still. If nothing's ever been improvised in those Guardians movies, I have to say, damn, that's great, right?
Yeah.
So, except for 2, 1 and 3. But yeah, so pretty interesting stuff there. But yeah, I would say excitement level is about a 5. We got the Ponderer. If the symbiote suit was in DC Universe and it were attached to Batman, how do you think, what do you think he would do it, or how would it play out? Like, how would it make Batman act and stuff? Well, I want to say there's versions of this. Like, Batman's been like taken over by stuff before. If we want to say, like, granted, I'm sure he's thinking like Venom, like, oh, will he use like the long
and of
powers
course,
and all that?
This is coming off of course, the very hyped gameplay footage that came from the PlayStation showcase the other day. I know that Juice was reacting to it. I was in his stream. I was watching it on my own, talking to a couple friends at the same time. It blew up. So in regards to Batman being taken over by the symbiote, I think that it's hard to say, because yes, he would get more aggressive. Yes, he would be a little bit more angry. but like, what's like? He's already Batman, you know.
Yeah.
He's already aggressive. He's already a little bit angry. Would there be much of a difference other than the fact that he would have symbiote powers? You know?
Yeah. I am curious if he, knowing Batman, because there's precedent for this. It's happened many a times. Batman always gives up power because he thinks it's too much. It's like, what is that classic line of like power corrupts come from? Is it Spider-Man?
I'm not entirely sure if it is from Spider-Man, but it's absolute power.
Yeah, like absolutely corrupts or something.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Whoever knows the quote, leave it in the comments. But yeah, that particular quote, I feel like Batman lives by. And so, because he's given up like everything he's ever like gotten taken over. Superman gave him the keys to the kingdom. He was like, here's platinum kryptonite. It'll turn you into me. And Batman gave it to fucking Gotham Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't want it. And it was coming from a time when he had like broken bones or he was just feeling like shit. And he was like, damn. Superman was like, could be like me. Never have to worry about it again. Protect all of Gotham. And he was like, no, I don't want that. And so I think he would end up giving the symbiote suit up after a while. He'd probably use it for a little bit, clean up, go, shut up Joker, shut up some people. But then he would know like nobody should have this power. And he'd find a way he'd send it on a Wayne rocket and shoot it into space. Or
I think the coolest thing coming out of the symbiote suit Batman would be the design. I think that
will it though? Because some people go a little too crazy when they're like, "Oh, Batman's got to look cool." Look at the Fate helmet, Batman.
True, but I feel like it would be like a mixture between his current suit and the Batman Beyond suit, you know.
But also look at fucking the Manhattan Man Who Laughs. Remember that? That was basically a kind of I can contort my body, be like a symbiote type of Batman too.
True. I'm looking at like fan art. I went to Google and I typed in Batman Venom crossover.
Okay.
There's some that look just very silly. But some I could be like, yeah, I could see that actually happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'll see the worst thing would be because people would just go completely bonkers over it would be give Todd McFarlane that cover.
Oh yeah, of course. Spawn. It's basically Batman Spawn at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Batman would just give it up. I mean, obviously, if you're writing a story, there's going to be a moment where he's trying it out for the first time. He's going to try to study it. He's going to, use it because there's some kind of crazy thing happening in Gotham. He's going to, save the world, all that kind of jazz. And there's going to be a point where like Joker probably knows something about it, right? Because Joker is all knowing at some points, it feels like. And he's going to taunt it. Like he's like, oh yeah, you finally have something that wants to kill me. Like, and then Batman will end up, kind of getting rid of it and all that kind of jazz.
I think he would keep a piece of it though.
Oh yeah, for studying.
He would always keep a piece of it. Like he would give it up. He would destroy it, do whatever, but he would always keep one sliver of it.
Yeah. Can the symbiote grow to a full, like if you have like a little sliver of it, I'm talking about like gumball size, can that become a whole suit? Or do you need the
I
full
don't
symbiote
know. I think you would need the full thing.
Because it's not like he can control. Like, it's not like, in a case of emergencies, let me fucking slap on the symbiote.
Well, so you haven't seen the movie. Spoilers for Far From Home.
Mm-hmm.
The end credit scene, because we see that Tom Hardy is in the end credit scene.
Really?
And, yeah. So Tom Hardy's in the end credit scene. He ended up like going into the MCU universe, but in Mexico for some reason. And he's talking to the bartender that he's drinking at. And then like in the middle of like explaining everything about how like this multiversal like thing like happened and he's now in this world, he doesn't know what he's doing. He just immediately disappears because of course the conflict is finished and is done.
Yeah.
But at the very end of the movie, there's a tiny piece of the symbiote left in Mexico of the MCU universe.
Yeah.
So maybe you can have a full
Mexican Venom? Dang.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. Anyways, so yeah, I don't know. It would just depend on who's writing it. So Anyways, moving on. Kids Do says, if you were to pick 2 DC characters to star in a video game in which you could switch between them, i.g. Spider-Man 2 with Peter and Miles, who would you choose? I think Batman/Green Arrow game would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yes, it would.
If I was going to switch between 2 characters, just give me Batman and Superman. Like,
I was going to say the same thing,
yeah,
but there's a reason why the game mechanic in Spider-Man 2 is Miles and Peter Parker, because it's the same character. They have basically the same move set, and you don't have to change things coding wise dramatically.
Yeah. Wonder Woman, Superman.
With Superman and Batman, I think it would be very hard. Wonder Woman and Superman would be a little bit easier. Give me Barry Allen and Wally. Give me a Flash game.
Yeah, I don't know. The one thing I'm concerned about the Flash game is I just don't think you can do the fast running properly enough, because you'll get everywhere in an instant. It's like fast traveling everywhere. So so you can only make the map so big.
Dude, okay, so I'll tell you this. The maps in Jedi Survivor are huge. They made fast traveling a thing. I don't walk anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
I fast travel everywhere. Like, oh, I need to get to that part of the map. I don't need to explore. I've explored this place enough. I'm going to go fast travel, boom, and then get it done, and then fast travel back.
That's how Genshin Impact is.
It's so easy.
Yeah. So, like, the thing is, how are you going to showcase that with the Flash? Are you going to show them run from one spot to the other, or are you going to fade to black and then he's automatically in the other spot?
Oh, no. Like, I think that the Flash would be fun enough, because for me, as bad as the game was, Superman Returns had a video game. And Superman could go up to Mach 6 in that game.
That map was also extremely small.
Yes, it was extremely small. But if you go up into the sky and then just fly in a circle, you could hit 6 sound barriers. It was absolutely amazing. And they made the game mechanic to where, like, you would actually, like, lose sound, because at that point at Mach 6 you can't hear anything, and then all the sound would rush back when you finally stopped. I eventually was like, okay, I've done everything I want to. Superman would literally, you would have to, like, it was almost like trying to, like, do the traffic laws in Grand Theft Auto. Like, I would stand in the middle of the street and just run at super speed and try to stay on the street. Otherwise, I would, like, slam into a building or whatever.
Yeah,
it was stupid. But with the Flash game, you would make a mechanic to where, like, as soon as you, like, start running into a wall, you could either vibrate through it or run up the wall. Like, I think that would be
vibrating through it. I think would be such a cheat code, though. Like, because then I think giving that option to a game like that would allow the devs to cut a lot of corners, because they're like, oh, that just happens in the game, because it glitches. You go into buildings and stuff all the time. Like, there's all those glitches in GTA where you can go through a building. You're not supposed to go through that building. So, like, I think the Flash devs would just, like, put random holes. Like, oh, that was, you went too fast. It happens with the Flash. You know, like, you went too fast. You know, Mach 7. Holy shit. You know, like.
Okay, so if not the Flash, then I would do what Gotham Knights should have been. Just a 2-player game. And I would do Batgirl Nightwing.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think give me, like, you know what? Obviously Suicide Squad's not going to be great. Give me, like, Deadshot and Deathstroke, and you have to go, like, murder people, and then you have to fight the villain, like the heroes and stuff. So essentially what Suicide Squad should have been, but not like Fortnite. So, but anyways, so yeah, something like that. But if I wanted to, like, if I could have my pick, I'd do World's Finest. Although I think Green Arrow and Batman would be pretty awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Arwit says, would Batman be able to deal with all of Spider-Man's rogues gallery? first time meeting with what's normally in his belt than prep time. Yeah, because they're all pretty much fucking people he's fought before.
Yeah.
You can't say he couldn't, because people were like, oh, what about Carnage and Venom? Clayface. Like, that's exactly what Clayface would do. If you're talking about who, fucking Mysterio, dude, that's fucking Scarecrow and fucking anybody else that deals with illusions in the Batman universe. Who else? Shocker. Ooh, Batman hasn't dealt with electricity before. Like, he's fucking fought too many of those guys. Who else? Fucking Scorpion's basically Lizard. Or Lizard and Scorpion are basically fucking,
Killer Croc.
Killer Croc. And so, like, Rhino is probably Bane. Or, Solomon Grundy, something like that. Dude, that's why everybody says Batman's Rogues Gallery is slightly better than Spider-Man's, is because it's all the same, and Batman was there first. Like, his Rogues Gallery was there first. I also think Batman's Rogues Gallery is a lot more diabolical, and each one of them has been, like, at the top at some point, whereas I think a lot of Spider-Mans have had to group together to be awesome, Like, Bane's been at the top before. Like, he's had his moment. I don't know. I've never heard of a story where Rhino's the best villain in Spider-Man, Never heard that. And, like, it's always Carnage and Venom are at the top, and then Doc Ock and Green Goblin are probably 3 and 4, Like, but, like, with Batman, you can fucking, it could be Joker, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this. Like, everybody has their own thing. I think individually they're better. But yeah, I don't think Batman would have a problem fighting Spider-Man's characters. But I also think it's vice versa, right? Spider-Man would probably just be fine fighting Batman's. So, his probably biggest one would be Joker. But he's fought crazy before in Carnage. So, it is what it is. Moving on to the UB tubes. Let's see. Sort it by newest. Let's see. At the bottom, we got Eduardo de la Cruz. Take a bucket of piss and call it Granny's Who Would Win. The Guardians of the Galaxy versus Darth Vader, Constantine versus Loki, the Suicide Squad versus Teen Titans. I think Suicide Squad personally beats the Teen Titans, in my opinion.
I think Suicide Squad beats the Teen Titans. I think Vader annihilates the Guardians.
Yeah, he probably slices them all in half.
But Constantine and Loki, I was looking at these questions before we jumped on. I don't think I can answer this, because here's the thing: Loki's a god. Constantine has fought gods before, but Loki is the god of mischief. And so, like, Loki has faked his own death millions of times.
Yeah.
I can't say who would win. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Constantine's also sold his soul for a lot of things, though.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know.
It's a good matchup.
Yeah.
Like,
is Loki bisexual? Because if he is, then they're just fucking. I think nobody wins.
That is also true. Yeah.
Because they're both mischievous. They both screw people over. They're fucking. So I think that's a draw. And then Guardians of the Galaxy, I think Vader fucking destroys him. Loki's bi though? Is that, when did they showcase that? I know Constantine is for sure.
I don't know if he's bisexual. I think he may be pansexual. I may need to, because he has like a version of himself that's a female. He has turned into a female himself. Like he's done all sorts of things. But I'm pretty sure he might be pansexual.
Yeah, they fucking. Let's see. Which of these Offspring's characters would be the most interesting hero? Kid of Joker and Harley, Kid of Red Hood and Artemis, Kid of Nightwing and Starfire, Kid of Killer Croc and Enchantress. That's a weird pairing. Kid of Bane and Redclaw. Okay, first of all, Nightwing and Starfire do have a kid. It was in an Elseworld story, and he was all right, but I didn't find him compelling. I found the story more compelling than the kid.
Yeah.
Red Hood Artemis. I mean, anything Red Hood does is gonna fail, so I would assume that kid's gonna fail too.
Well, I think that there is a potential with that story of like having two parents that were seen as failures.
Yeah.
And then like rising above that, I think is a possibility.
Yes, but I don't think it's more compelling than Joker Harley's character, their kid being a hero, because that's two bad parents becoming a hero. You know,
That is also true.
I
Yeah.
think that's a more compelling story because you go into it being the kid being, I don't want to be my parents. And I think that's
Yeah.
really relatable to a lot of people in the world.
Like if
So,
I could even see like the even more compelling story
mhm,
is that like because Joker, Harley, and Batman all being, let's say, an average age range
yeah.
within the same at this point, would that be Terry McGinnis Batman that is within range of being a hero, like, you know?
Well, it depends on, you got to remember that this is probably Harley Joker early days. So, so they're relatively young. So they're
So
probably in their 20s.
it could still be Batman then.
Yeah. It'll probably be like Batman, like in his late 40s.
Okay, even then, I think it's still even a compelling story to like see the doubt in Batman
Yeah.
being like, this person cannot be a hero
Yeah.
because of their parents.
Yeah. And then you just do the anime story where it's like nobody believes in me, but I'm gonna show you. And then Batman takes them under their wing, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody else I don't think is that compelling. So Killer Croc and Transits just seems weird. I'm like,
Yeah.
why would they be doing anything? And then Bane and Red Claw, I think they're just badass female, badass male, but I don't think the story is gonna be compelling there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go with that. Jason Todd, if the DC, first of all, DCEU, stop that shit right now. It's the DCU. Went the route for Justice League movies like the New 52, unless you're talking about the actual DCEU.
I think
Am I
that's
wrong
what
here?
they're saying. I think they're
Okay.
saying, "Hey, how would it have played out compared
Okay.
to the recent, Marvel saga?"
I take it back. I take it back. Okay, so if the DCEU went the route of Justice League movies like the New 52, how would it compare to the Avengers saga? Part 1 Dark Side, Part 2 Crime Syndicate Forever Evil, Part 3 and 4 Apocalypse War, The Anti-Monitor. With the current people, I mean, dude, if you're letting Zack Snyder direct any of these, they're 7-hour movies. I don't make it through half of them and I jump off a building. So I don't think it works that well. So
So here's the thing. He said the Avengers saga. The
yeah.
Avengers saga I call the first 5 movies. First 4 or 5 movies.
Mhm.
It's the heroes leading up to the Avengers.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be the Avengers saga. It would have to be
The Endgame saga,
the
right?
it
Or the
would
whole
have
thing?
yeah, it would have to be the whole thing with the Endgame saga.
Yeah.
Just because uh you have the heroes having their origin, which is the first 6 issues of Justice League,
Mhm.
is like them meeting each other. But then you have their all individual comics that you have to look into. Um, yeah, you would have to compare it to the entire Infinity Saga.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it would be okay, honestly. I think that this route of Darkseid, I think the Crime Syndicate Forever Evil would actually be really, really fun. Getting like the Earth 3 villains
Yeah.
in there would be really, really cool. And then Apocalypse War Anti-Monitor Bat God at the end would be fucking insane.
Yeah. The Crime Syndicate, the only thing that worries about me, if Hollywood were to do it, they would make, like, let's just say we're doing Henry Cavill and everybody, they would make them all played by the same actors. And I don't want to see that because that's not how it works in the comics. The comics are actually all different people.
Yeah, no, I think they would have chosen different people.
You
I
think
think
so? That's a
I
lot of
think
people for one movie.
I think if Gunn were to make the
But
Crime
this isn't
Syndicate,
Gun, though.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm saying if you if they even do anything like this in the future,
Mm-hmm.
like like do you honestly think Snyder would have done the exact same people?
I think Snyder, yeah, because he would have probably been spending like 400 millions on just the way the movie looks. So, because he's got to have them all have great costumes, right? He's got to have a Bat Cave for Owlman or whoever the fucking Batman version of them is. He's going to have to tell all of the stories that we don't care about their origins. Like, he's going to be wasting a lot of time. He's like, no, I might as well just have y'all play the same shit. This is multiverse stuff. So, yeah, I just don't. Granted, I'm fucking talking to out of my ass there, but I'll just tell you right now, I wouldn't want to see this from Zack Snyder. So, I don't even know if I would want to see this play out the same way though, because like a lot of people don't remember that run though, because like that run, you also have Nightwing lose his identity, and then it bleeds into Nightwing's gonna have to be a spy and stuff after that. Like everybody forgets all that, and so I don't know if the side stories that go along with all of that are great. Everybody's just thinking about just the Justice League part.
Well, yeah, but you can bleed it into the Justice League stories. You can bleed into kind of their own individual parts, like the Aquaman stuff, like freaking Ocean Master trying to take over the world. Like, that was a Justice League story. You can easily make that into an Aquaman story. Yeah. You have the Superman Wonder Woman love interests, like that could be a thing.
I don't need that. But doesn't that also have like double Superman shit? Like, I don't need that either. Wasn't that New 52?
Eventually you get there, but it takes a while. Yeah,
I don't need that. And then I also don't need, because I think in between that time, wasn't it also Jim Gordon Batman?
In the Justice League?
Well, I mean, you got to remember they're happening at the same time, right? Like Court of Owls is definitely happening around this time, and like,
I don't think so.
So I don't know. I don't remember a lot of this stuff. I know Batman's there, obviously.
Yeah.
But you're talking about, I'm thinking about the in-between shit, because if you're talking about the whole Endgame saga, there's a lot of shit that happened between those Avengers movies.
Yeah.
You know, there's part 2, part 3. You got to remember Thor 2 and Thor 3 happened. So like you got to remember all that shit. So there's going to be a lot of that, and that's going to play out. And I'm like, I just don't know if I would want the little shit. I think everybody thinks about the cool stuff. Like, oh yeah, Darkseid, Crime Syndicate, they cool. I'm thinking about the middle shit, because the middle shit's what's going to get you to the big shit. And if I don't,
it's the meat and potatoes. Like, you have the steak, but you need the all the extra stuff. Yeah.
Because let me ask this: what was memorable about Wonder Woman's New 52 run?
Next
she
question.
was fighting a bunch of gods and stuff, because I own them, and but it was like she was dealing with. I think she was like fighting like Cersei, and Cersei's whole family was coming around, and like it was just kind of weird. I think what's the God of War's name? Fucking
Ares.
Ares was like an old man that was like a cowboy, I think, in New 52, and he just fought like war. Like they all had like weird Earth personas or somewhat kind of shit going on, and I don't know if I want to see that. Also, I don't think Cyborg did shit. Didn't he have like a girlfriend, like a cyborg woman? Like, wasn't there a cyborg woman that became a thing for a little bit in New 52? Or was that in Rebirth?
That might have been in Rebirth.
Yeah. So yeah, I think people need to remember all the shit that happened between the big stuff, you know? Because I think that's what we're forgetting. But we'll see what James Gunn's going to do. I think, because here's the thing, like even all of that, what they just listed, I don't think are the best stories in DC. I'd rather see Blackest Night over any of those, to be honest. Granted, I do think Darkseid is somebody you need to bring into this universe, but does Darkseid need to be the first? I don't think Darkseid needs to be the first. So I do think, unfortunately, Brainiac's probably going to be a Superman villain by himself instead of being like a Justice League villain.
Rumor again, grain of salt, and Gunn has already said, hey, if it's not from me, it's not true. Grain of salt. Some people have said that there has been some sort of like reading or something that indicates that Brainiac is in the Superman movie.
Bryan Cranston as Brainiac.
Ooh, I like that.
I'd go with that. All right, moving on. We're going to go with Clay says, what would make audiences cry the most? Batman accidentally lands fatal blow to a criminal with a weak heart and is unable to save him. Catwoman dies giving birth to Helena. Batgirl talks to a drunk Jim Gordon from taking his life. Red Hood puts down Ace after Pig makes him a Dollotron. Batman learns his parents were secretly villains. The last one's already happened many times.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares. Everybody thinks it's a stupid storyline. It's kind of what the Batman was doing, and we thought it was fucking dumb.
Yeah.
So that one's nobody's gonna care. People will hate it because that's factual evidence. I don't think people would care about Red Hood because barely anybody cares about Red Hood. Putting down Ace, although I think it'd be kind of sad.
I was gonna say, are you freaking kidding me? Like you
But do you
write
think
a story.
Red Hood putting down Ace, I don't think is as emotional as like Bruce putting down Ace. Because I don't incorporate Ace being Red Hood's dog.
No, but like, so side tangent. It was absolutely horrible when it happened. Abby's dog, when we first started dating,
Mm-hmm.
had a seizure while she was at work and I was at the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I took it to the vet, and the vet basically told me, "Hey, we're gonna have like to stop the dog from suffering. We're gonna have to put it down."
Mm-hmm.
I had to make the decision, and not Abby.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I've had to make the decision a few times too.
And like in the same like spot here, like Bruce not being able to make that decision, and Red Hood having to make that decision, like off the bat, like I think that would be a very heartbreaking story.
It depends on how you write it, because a lot of people could easily say Red Hood is the bad guy, because a lot of people would be like, Bruce could fix him. You know, a lot of people would think Bruce wouldn't give up so much. And
Probably.
Alfred was the one that trained. I mean, depending on what story if you're reading Tom King's version of Ace,
yeah,
he was a bad dog. He worked with, I don't know if he worked with Joker or if he worked with somebody, but Alfred trained the dog to be a good dog. And so I don't think Bruce would necessarily give up. But I mean, I think personally, I think using animals as an emotional device is a cheat code. So I mean, John Wick built a whole series off of it. So I think it is a little bit of a cheat code. So I don't know if that would be as big. I think Batgirl talking to a drunk Jim Gordon that's about to take his life is pretty intense. But out of all of these, I don't think the Batman weak heart thing would necessarily be an issue. I don't think that would make people cry. Batman, we saw it in Detective, basically took a chance to stop somebody by stopping their heart and tried to bring them back to life with Namco or Narco, whatever his name was.
Oh, yeah.
And so like that was like, oh shit. So he's willing to stop your heart to try to stop evil, So yeah, I don't think it's crazy. Catwoman dies giving birth to Helena. Seeing how much people like the Bat-Cat dynamic, I think that would be the worst one. So
I can see Catwoman dying from childbirth being a big hit for readers, as far as like a big hit to like their feelings. But I can also see like Batgirl and the Jim Gordon story being like a real like heavy hitter also.
I think it just depends on how you write it, because I feel like some people don't understand that that's the moment that needs to take like 3 or 4 pages and not just like 2 panels.
Yeah.
And I think that's what separates good writers from, just mundane writers, is a lot of people will do the moments that are supposed to have a lot of heart. They make them happen really fast. And they're like, oh no, we need a lot of action, and then have this really serious moment, which is kind of what I think Teenie Howard did really wrong when Selena killed Valmont, right? Like that kind of just happens. And it's not, they didn't linger on it. They didn't talk about it. She just fucking automatically went to jail the next page. And it's just like, all right, well, that was fucking stupid. Granted that the story didn't build up Valmont for anybody to fucking care. So that was also a problem. All right, moving on from that, we got Moncrief. I noticed that the Spider-Verse movie has a new promotional red Whopper, which weirded me out and got me thinking of a movie more, which could also benefit DC. Which of these would get the most hype / attention? Jokerized fries, garlic fries seasoned with chives, red peppers, and white cheddar. That's real, though. I'm pretty sure they've done that. Or somebody's done that, or it's in the comic books. Like, they've actually made that in the comic books. Because Tom King did Jokerized fries and, like, add Bat Burger. So,
well, and that's the very next one, a Bat Burger. But
Yeah.
he's talking about like in real life.
No,
Like
I mean,
me and
yeah.
you could go and order Jokerized fries
Yeah,
or a
yeah, yeah,
bat
for
burger
sure.
and
I'm just
all of these
saying
other things.
they've been done, is what I'm saying. Gourmet spicy burger with a weird bat logo shaped bun. Bane burrito, protein filled steak, egg and burrito with Venom sauce. Harley Quinn mac and cheese BLT with red and blue bread. So Jokerized fries, I think, are just pretty easy. I don't think anybody would be hyped about those. The Batman, so there is a place that does, they burn a bat logo onto the bun, and it's some like,
Okay.
other like country, like on the other side of the world that's not America, that probably doesn't deal with licensing, and they just made their own kind of like Batman cafe or whatever, and they burn like a thing on it. I've seen photos of it.
Interesting.
Then Bane burrito, I don't know if anybody necessarily, because steak and eggs, like that's a lot of steak and eggs in a burrito, depending on
Yeah.
how big it is. If I'm thinking about like Chipotle size, like that's a lot.
Yeah.
Now Harley Quinn mac and cheese BLT, if it was the sandwich from Birds and Prey, I think that'd be really hype.
That's the thing though. I was just about to say, if they like in the weeks that like the way you promote the movie, I think they
Yeah.
should have shown that scene.
Yeah.
Is talking about because it was a croissant sandwich, I think it
Yeah.
was.
Mm-hmm.
Then they should have had somebody, whatever fast food or whatever restaurant, should have done promotion
Yeah.
for the same croissant sandwich.
Yeah.
And I think that would have had a lot of people hyped for it.
Yeah, I don't think you can just insert any of these into any popular place and it would get really big. You need to tie it into the movie.
Yeah.
Which, if I recall, they fucking ruined the whole point of the sandwich in the movie. Like they handled it horribly. Like that was the one thing she wanted in life, and then at the end she just gets it. She's like, "Oh yeah, yum." Instead of making it like this epic moment, like she finally gets the sandwich.
Yeah, the movie ends with her and Cassandra in the car and they both have the sandwich and they're just eating it.
Yeah, it was lame. The way they could have done it is like she could have been fighting somebody in a kitchen and she makes the sandwich while fighting them or some shit like that. Would have been better. She's like, "Oh fuck, it's here." Like, or they fight over the sandwich. Like she's making it at the end and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking do this." And somebody tries to fucking Black Mask tries to attack her and she's like, "I just want my fucking sandwich." She kills him and then she finally eats the sandwich over his dead body. Would have been so much better. But they went ahead and just blew him up. Like, so ridiculous. I hope he comes back in the DCU. He needs to come back. But yeah, out of all of these, probably the Harley Quinn sandwich, I think you could make the most marketable. The blue and red bread sounds terrible though.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's the most marketable, if anything. Alexis Barrera, what if Tom King wrote Batman 900, assuming you keep all the multiple Batman? Do we think it would be better? Probably. I mean, I feel like he knows how to write Batman more than Chip Zdarsky does. It wouldn't have been as campy.
Yeah.
And I also think there would have been more substance to Batman actually meeting the other Batman. And I don't think Tom King would have I don't know if Tom King would have done the whole Zurin Raw at the end part. And I think he probably would have focused more. You know what I think Tom King would have done that Zdarsky should have done is Tom King would have laced Tim Drake into that story. Like Tim Drake would have been chasing Batman through all of the Batman worlds. And he would have been like, "Is Batman here? Like, you're not my Batman." He's like, "Your Batman just left." And then he's like jumping through all these other worlds trying to find Batman.
See, and that was the thing about me when we reviewed it, talking about how it should have been an anthology. I think that could have been like the connecting tissue of the anthology. Is like, you think that it's just like a regular Batman anthology book, but then you see Tim Drake pop out of nowhere and you're like, "Oh shit, is this going to tie into the main story?" And then the very end, you see Tim Drake finally find his Batman.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say like Tom King, if he had to write the same issue, would have done it a million times better. But I do think Tom King would have wrote it in a way where you would have cared about the characters a little bit more.
Yeah.
And the dialogue wouldn't have been as cringe for some of the parts because there was some cringe ass dialogue in 900.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think as crazy as Tom King is, I don't think he would have chopped Batman's hand off.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, last one, we got Tiny Beauty. What rogue deserves to be the main villain for once? Who would you write? Why would you write that arc? Yours is Mothman, I'm assuming.
No. It would be. Oh shoot. Batman the Animated Series, Lockup.
Oh yeah, didn't Lockup? Didn't he come back recently? Did we read something with Lockup in it? Was he in another animated series issue? I feel like we saw Lockup recently.
We recently saw Lockup.
Okay.
In The Adventures Continues.
Okay, yeah. Lockup is great. If I was gonna do, I would probably go Dollmaker or Scarface. So I think those are two of my favorite characters that don't get enough play. I also think that Scarecrow deserves a good story. I feel like Scarecrow hasn't got a good story as the main lead. Same thing with Two-Face. I don't think Two-Face has got a good story. They try, but I don't think he's gotten a great story in a long time. What, Long Halloween? Last time Two-Face had a great story?
Yeah.
What is that, 20 years ago?
Almost.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. But no, if I'm going more obscure Batman villains, I'm going, because, dude, when was the last time we saw Dollmaker? Was that New 52?
New 52.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. Scarface, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's been shown like here or there, but they don't give him anything good to do.
Yeah. No.
He was in Tom King's run, but it wasn't huge in it. He was part of like Bane's group of people.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So yeah, those would be my picks. I'd go with Scarface or Dollmaker. But yeah, that is all we got for questions, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be moving on to. I only read 2 books this week.
I only read 2 as well.
I'm assuming it was the Justice Society and Nightwing.
And Nightwing, yep.
All right, let's start with Nightwing because I kind of don't care about this book anymore, Clay.
This again, I think that just like Tynan and just like Williamson, I think Taylor might have too much on his plate. I like Taylor's writing. I think he is still a good writer, but I think he is like he's putting off too many of his main stories. Like, like Nightwing has a sister. When are we gonna deal with that? When are we gonna touch upon that? Oh, I brought up this new thing where Nightwing is now the possessor of this secret society lock safe thing. And he has one and we don't know what's in it. Oh, there's this, like, there's so many freaking Heartless. What's happened to him? Like, it's what's going on there? Like, there's just way too many things, and it seems like Taylor has very purposely pushed those to the wayside. Be like, oh, people will come back for those. Let me just throw out these other stories building up Titans because that's my new book.
Yeah.
And again, I like his writing. I like moments in here, but I need everything else.
Yeah. It's funny because I told myself that I don't need a Titans book, just, cross them into the Nightwing book. But seeing that they've taken over the book, I'm kind of annoyed. Like, had they been helping him try to figure out the Heartless problem, help him with his sister, all of that was going well, but now it's just a totally different book. And I'm just like, bro, there's like so many unfilled holes in your story. How about you fill those? You don't even see a lot of Barbara anymore. Like, that was going well. Like, I want to see more of that. They were living together. Yeah. They have a dog. Like, and now it's just like this random kid that's now going to be living on Themyscira. And we gave, Nightwing Superman powers. And he just went around showing everybody, look, I'm Superman for 2 hours.
I did really, really, really enjoy the conversation between him and Superman, though.
Yeah.
That was cool. A really good moment.
I couldn't get over that. Well, it's not that I couldn't get over while reading this, but it's because I saw something before reading this that I was just like, well, goddamn. Because I always thought this is paying homage to the old school Nightwing suit, right? Just a modernized version, superhero version.
Yeah.
Then somebody put him next to Invincible. And I was like, oh no. And so yeah, he just looked like Invincible. And I was just like, wow.
It's an homage to, if you look up Flamebird and Nightwing.
Yeah.
It's an homage to that Nightwing.
Yeah.
Which is a part of Superman's history. I still enjoyed this. Like I said, Taylor is a good writer, but these aren't the stories that I necessarily needed in this run. Especially like you said, since Titans has basically taken over this book. Now, if there was still a moment with this Superman scene, I feel like this needs to be said, because it brings back something that I think a lot of people have been asking, like, okay, like, where's the Justice League? Like, they asked Nightwing to run the Justice League, to be the leader of the Justice League, and nothing has come of it. Like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
And hey, we haven't forgotten about that. Like, I think that's good. That is a very good thing that they're reminding people, hey, it's still going to be a thing. If people remember the dawn of DC, like, people have like messed with like the saturation and stuff of that photo, how it was all dark or whatever, and they did reveal, and it hasn't been official yet, but like through leaks and stuff, that the very end of the dawn of DC will be the Justice League book. Like we know it's coming. This being in there, I'm glad it was there. It reminded people, hey, Nightwing is going to be the head of the Justice League, supposedly. And we still need answers on how he feels about that. And I think with having so much power now in this one book, it was very appropriate for Superman to talk to him about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that was all cool, fine and dandy. But like like I said, I've been kind of losing interest in the book since like 98 or something like that. Because if I'm not mistaken, 100 like happened really fast, right?
Yeah.
Like
it was
went down in it, and you're just like, what?
You saw Rick Grayson in the taxi,
Yeah,
and you're like, what the fuck is this book? You read 99, and then you were like, yeah, nah. And I think that's where you were like, yeah, no, this is
because again, he did something in a main series that should have been an annual.
Yeah,
and it's like it was just too wacky. You know, he jumped the shark there. Granted, I think, you know, when you look at it in context, like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like the magic, you know, people are in it and all that kind of jazz and all that jazz. But like for the most part, I don't know. I haven't been liking it since. And again, there's so many things I want to know, and he's just getting farther and farther away from it. So, but either way, I'm losing interest slowly. And also that backstory sucked.
Ended horribly.
Yeah.
Who was it? It was Brian. Like what?
Some random fucking guy. Like, it would have made more sense if it was the ringleader, but like it was such a shitty ending.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I don't know what happened there, but it was
I hid
bad.
many teddy bears around the whole place. Superman gets them all. Oh, you give me all these teddy bears? Huh? Like it felt like a Scooby-Doo book.
Yeah.
But worse. I like Scooby-Doo. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I feel like comic book writers go to a comic book writing school and skip the last like 2 weeks, which tell you how to like finish a book. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, do you think this is editors that are ruining a lot of stuff? Like, your book needs to be different. Like, I just want to know.
I think that we've always heard that, like, when it comes to like crunch time, a lot of books are rushed. Yeah. And I think that's the problem, is that like I think writers want to tell a story. Yeah. And then editors are like, hey, you need to cut like 4 pages from this. And they're like, oh, well, there goes all of my story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think again, this is another reason why we need to get away from this is a weekly book or this is every 2 weeks or whatever. If you can't write a story in a month, I think that's kind of bad. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Tom King puts out 4, if not more, a month, which I think is still crazy. But yeah, I don't understand it. Granted, not every writer has the luxury of being a Jeff Johns, a King, a Snyder. They have to work on a certain schedule. But I don't. Who are these editors that would be changing this? If it is editors that are changing it,
Yeah.
But it could also just be bad writers, and we don't have people in charge that are watching over these writers. So
Yeah.
I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to hire somebody you trust that knows good script writing and good storytelling to be somebody that reads every issue that comes in, like that's your job, is to read stuff and then give notes. Like, I don't know. How many comic books do you think could come in a week? 40?
Yeah, I think so.
And then so you read those over like a weekend, maybe even a week. But then I guess you have to do the turnaround so quick of they need to go straight to a fucking artist, right? So that's probably the problem. I think we need to overhaul comics as a just whole, but I don't think it's ever going to happen because it's oh, we can't stop or we're going to lose money. It's
yeah.
Are y'all really making that much money right now? So you're making all your money off of books that have already come out. It's not necessarily new shit, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. But moving on to Justice Society of America, I could have sworn this was only going to be 4 issues. Is this ongoing?
This I think is. I don't think it's ongoing. I think it's it might be one of those weird mini maxi series.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of 6 issues and instead of 12 issues, it's somewhere in between. It might be 8 or 10.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was a little confused. I was just I thought this was going to end soon. But this book I think is pretty interesting. We've constantly known there's been this guy named, I think his name's Degaton, is how you say it.
Yeah.
He's been going through kind of just killing all of the different history versions of the JSA. He's finally got to one that he hasn't been able to destroy. He starts fucking up everybody. He's able to beat the Flash, beat the Green Lantern, even beat Power Girl. But Helena has a theory that she's basically a blind spot to him because she's traveled back so much that he doesn't know she's there. I've got the impression, or he can't see her movements.
So he knows how predictable the Justice Society is, right?
Yeah.
Because he has faced them so many times.
Yeah.
Helena, he has not faced so many times in the periods that she is currently in.
Yeah.
So because she is in the time of the first Justice Society of America, when he left off in the last issue, when he fights everybody here, she is the wild card. Yeah. And she makes that assumption very, very quickly. Of course, she is the daughter of Batman. So, of course, but she also is okay, why is he taking out Dr. Fate in every generation of heroes? Oh, it's because he can't see Dr. Fate's movements either. They're unpredictable. And so that's where all of that comes from in this story. And I really liked it. I just saw this is actually a 12-issue maxi series.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is building to the dawn of DC then? Is he a part of that too, or
it might?
Yeah. Anyways, so we see Helena actually shoot her crossbow and cut his finger off because he has a kryptonite ring on that would destroy Power Girl. This is really cool because Power Girl, look, I've been always I think the timing on how fast Kryptonians recover from kryptonite is really weird. Because she's basically super weak when she's right in front of this villain, gets his hand cut off, and instantly super powerful enough to knock him through a fucking wall.
Yeah, so the range and time. So here's something that I actually one of my TikToks a while back really popped off in the conversation of kryptonite. So the really cool thing about the, I guess, weakness of kryptonite was the fact that when Superman or any other Kryptonian overcame kryptonite, people were oh shit, the one thing that could kill you, and you overcome it, and that's awesome. The general rule when they first made it was like, 6 feet was the space that a Kryptonian had to be between kryptonite and themselves to not feel the effects.
Mm-hmm.
And this, it's just jumped all over the place.
Yeah.
But for the fact that you get the idea, you have to overcome that weakness, and you can headcanon it here.
Mm-hmm.
She is just overcoming the weakness of kryptonite.
Yeah.
And is still able to punch Digaton across the fucking Justice Society hall.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. And then that's when Helena tells Dr. Fate, like, he doesn't know what you're going to do. You need to hit him now. And so he hits him, and he basically sends him back in time. And then we see, is her name pronounced Xanadu? Madam Xanadu?
Yeah.
Okay. Xanadu shows up with, Dr. Is it Chimp? Is that how you say his name?
It's Detective Chimp and Deadman.
Yeah, Deadman. They show up and they're like, hey, y'all need to beat that guy's ass or he's going to destroy the whole history of the JSA. And so he gets teleported back to Nazi Germany, 1947. And he's talking to his old self. He's like, what happened? I don't have a finger now. And like...
This was wild. So he's basically created a paradox of himself.
Yeah.
I thought this was really cool.
Yeah, I don't know why they had to just make this one panel a different artist. It was so weird. And I was like, what's his face that does all this art we don't like? I forget his name. He's
Sharp? Liam Sharp?
No, not Liam Sharp. I think he's worse than Liam Sharp. He's the guy that ruined Tom King's Bane arc at the very end because it's so bad. He's a son of somebody. He's a junior.
John Romita?
Yeah. Okay. That's what it reminded me of. I was like, oh my God, is Romita Jr. back? But anyways, so we see that. Now, here's an interesting thing, because I don't think a lot of people remember this, but we see Power Girl go and talk to Helena, and she's like, hey, like, thanks for saving me back there, all that kind of jazz. They're having a little heart-to-heart, and she's like, so, what'd she say? She's kind of like bringing up her dad, and she was like, your dad never, like, what's the difference in the earth? Did your dad smile? And she's like, my dad smiles all the time. And like, she's like, oh, okay, hit a nerve there, right? And then she's like, tell me something good then. And Helena just kind of gives like this little like mischievous Catwoman smile. Now, we know that at one point, Helena Wayne and Power Girl got sucked into a different time stream. Yeah. And they traveled through all the different worlds or whatever. If you didn't read Convergence, you don't know any of this fucking shit, because a lot of people didn't read Convergence, but that's kind of what happened. There was a world where Batman and all of the Trinity sacrificed themselves to save planet Earth, and then Supergirl at the time, and and Helena gets sucked into a different world. Well, if I'm not mistaken, is Power Girl into women?
I don't know. I will be honest with you. I never read Convergence. I knew about the Power Girl Huntress.
Well, that also happens on Earth 2. Yeah. Or Earth whatever. There was a different Earth 2 book that happened.
It was an Earth 2 book, yeah.
Yeah. But I believe they pull from that story, and they're still in there, because she ends up meeting Flashpoint Batman, or like Earth 2 Batman that is Thomas Wayne, but it's not Flashpoint. I don't know, it gets fucking really confusing. Yeah. And I don't know if they had a love interest, because I get that vibe here when she's like, tell me something good, and she has this little like smirk. Yeah. And it's all like, well, we kind of become a thing later. Because I don't know if they dated. It's been so long since I read those. But Helena, if I'm not mistaken, even Tom King used it in Batcat. I think she likes women. So I don't know if she's bisexual like her mom, but I'm pretty sure she's into women. Could be wrong. So I think that's maybe a little hint there, with Jeff Johns also hinting at Power Girl maybe. But I don't know all of that. Then we get these random 2 characters with our Dr. Midnight. Has this changed? Did they gender swap these characters, or are we on a different universe?
So this is, of course, Jeff Johns continuing his legacy of the TV show into comics.
Oh, okay.
He brought them into continuity of DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
But wasn't Doctor? I mean, this is Doctor Midnight, though, right?
Yeah. So this is current time. This is
Okay.
current time of Justice Society.
Mhm.
So the Dr. Midnight that you're thinking of and the Wildcat that you're thinking of
Yeah.
have already like retired.
Oh,
They're
okay.
already like old and gray. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, I was curious. I was like, I'm confused. So, but did he create a Lazarus pill? Is that new?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's essentially a sensu bean.
Yeah.
So, just throwing that out there. Jeff John watches anime. But anyways, so yeah, there's like meetings going on. Pretty much nothing really happens after this besides, they're like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna beat this guy? We're like, oh, we gotta go do something. We gotta be on the offensive. And then Power Girl breaks into the meeting that's happening, and she's like, fucking Helena's gone to Gotham. And they're like, I thought she can't go over there. And they're like, well, she fucking did. And Batman's beating the shit out of a big old frog.
His name is Toad.
Yeah. And he's beating the shit out of him. And he's all like, dude, like, why aren't you going after the murderers and stuff? Like, what the hell? I only do little crimes. He's like, your crimes help out those murderers. So, you're part of it. And he's like, fuck. And then Helena's like, I'm here to save your life, Batman. I'm your child from the future. And I'm just like, the fuck? So yeah, I'm curious on what's going to happen here now, because now Helena is doing exactly what her father did with the globe.
Yeah.
She's fucking with time. So is it going to be the same thing where Bruce trusts, or Helena trusts Batman to do the right thing?
But here's the thing. Here's what I'm interested in, where Johns is placing this story.
Mm-hmm.
Is this before or after the story that we got with Batman fucking with the globe?
Yeah.
Because if it's before,
mm-hmm.
then we can do a really fucking weird headcanon that Johns is doing, is that the entire reason why Batman even fucks with the globe is because of this.
Yeah.
Or is it after, and he's like, hey, Rip Hunter told me something would happen. Like, shit's gonna hit the fan. You need to go back to your own time. Like, yeah. I think either one would be really cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting. But if you watch enough Doctor Who, things can change to where they could have both happened. Like, the globe thing could have happened, and then this Helena thing happened, but then she talks to him before the globe thing happens, which puts it a part of the globe story.
Yeah.
So, it'll be very interesting, because they say in this book that basically Batman's death is a fixed point in time, is kind of the vibe I got. They were like, nothing should mess with Batman's death. And Helena's like, fuck that. I'm going to go save my father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, pretty interesting, because yeah, it technically has to be after, right? When you think about it, because Batman's alive during the globe thing.
Yeah, I would think so.
And we even in that story, they say, like, the Munchkin kid or whatever his name was, with the raccoon helmet or hat, he's all like, oh yeah, like, you don't know what you're messing with, and you're going to have to deal with the consequences of this eventually. That could have been the consequences, right? He ends up dying. But I think we've already seen all of the future kids too, that they showed at the very end, when they're like, oh, these are all the new kids. And didn't they all like disappear and die already? Like in that first future issue or whatever. So
I think so.
So that I would assume it has to be a continuation for sure. And don't forget, the end of that story ended with the Watchmen character, like a new Watchmen character. We haven't even seen that yet. So
yeah, we haven't seen her. And one thing that we kind of glossed over in this book is when we have the scene with Xanadu, Detective Shemp, and Deadman in the beginning of the story, we see that they're fucking with the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And Xanadu gets shocked with like all of this power or whatever. And she like sees, what is it? Like she, let me see if I can get back to it.
Yeah, I forgot what the she has like a premonition or something, I think, or she sees the future. I'm trying to pull it up. I don't have it pulled up right now.
Yeah, right here. So she hears like these voices, and it says, "Beware Calypso, is within. Only Green Lantern can save the Red Lantern. The Sandman's nightmare will wear his mask. Jay Garrick will find joy again. Do not trust the witch girl.
Yeah.
So, who's the witch girl?